But so Trump has been super, this current administration, this new administration, or at least when Trump was running, he was very pro Bitcoin.
Trump was put in by the bankers to get the control grid. The other team in the Uniparty wasn't moving fast enough. They couldn't get the control grid.
I knew it.
I sent you a link. We just did a new collection of all the things Trump is doing to move the control grid. He is moving very, very fast. When it comes to building, first he's getting the Real ID implemented very aggressively. Real ID, to do a control grid, you need a very high quality precision national ID that's interoperable with all the other IDs around the world. And he's got Kristi Noem out there pushing the Real ID like there's no tomorrow. So they're working, and it's done through the states, but the feds are pushing it. So the first thing you need is a digital ID. The second thing you need is an all-digital financial system. So you got to kill cash, and you got to make everybody interact digitally. And if you look at what he's doing with taxes and Social Security, he's trying to make everybody, he's canceled pennies, but he's also canceled now. Normally I pay my taxes with paper, and now he's saying, no, you got to do everything digital. It's not this year, but the next year.
Really?
So he's trying to, if you go through that list, I've got 50 different items of what he's doing. And if you look at what they're doing with the Genius Act and stablecoin, he said no CBDCs, but stablecoin. So I don't know if you've read the Genius Act, which is the new plan for stablecoins. Okay. A CBDC would be issued by the Federal Reserve, so presumably the New York Fed and the Fed member banks, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, they are owned by their members. So Citibank, JP Morgan Chase, they own, as members, they own the New York Fed and, basically govern it, okay? And the New York Fed is the depository for the Treasury, and the different banks work as agent to do those transactions, okay? So now under the Genius Act, what they're saying is the guys who own the New York Fed are all going to create subsidiaries and issue stablecoin, which will be interoperable and can work with a social credit system. Now, here's the beauty of it. The New York Fed, under the law, has direct obligations to Congress, and Congress has jurisdiction over them. If you do it through the owners of the Fed, through their private subsidiaries, you're going to have some degree of freedom. So it gives you more freedom.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So if you think this is improvement, you have another thing coming. Anyway, but what they're planning to do on stablecoin, which I have to say as a financial matter is quite clever. Remember the pallets of cash you sent to Iraq?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is going to be the digital equivalent of the pallets of cash sent to Iraq, because what they want to do with stablecoins. So a stablecoin is just a bank deposit or a treasury bill or bond. So it's fully collateralized by $1. Mm-hmm. You put $1 in, and these stable coins are going to, you have some stable coins that do gold or other things, but these are going to be $1. Mm-hmm. And this is going to create a huge market for the treasury bills and bonds. And the bank subsidiaries will create the stable coins. So it'll be fully collateralized in treasury bonds or bills. Mm-hmm. But then you can send them out on Google Payment and Apple Payment and all the wallets around the world. And literally you can get people from Bolivia to South Korea coming into your state and using stable coins. So you're literally going to tender for the global population, try and get everybody off of their local currency into stable coins, and you're going to pump out massive amounts of private credit to make it really attractive. So you're just going to hand out money and get everybody on the dollar.
And you don't think the BRICS would try to compete with this?
Of course.
They would, right?
Yeah, of course.
And do you think this is something that could legitimately be implemented? And if so, how soon do you think they would start doing this?
I think as soon as you pass the Genius Act, it can go very, very fast.
And where are we at right now with the Genius Act and it getting passed?
I'm assuming it's going to pass sometime soon. If it doesn't pass before the session breaks, it'll pass in the fall, is my guess. So it could, you could really see the world rock. Now, our problem in America...
Is Trump aware of all this stuff? Or what do you think? What is his motive in all of this? Or not his motive, but is he basically a useful idiot here?
So I don't know Trump. Yeah. I lived in New York for 11 years, and the PR firm we use was did his business too. Everything I know about Trump, I know from Howard Rubenstein and company.
Wow.
Anyway, but I think Trump is in a box, and all I see, I have to judge people by what they're doing, and what it looks to me like Trump and Musk are implementing the control grid at high speed. And don't believe me, go look at that list, because what you have to say is, okay, to do a control grid, we need a digital ID implemented that's very high quality, high precise. Check the box. We need an all digital financial system. Check the box. We need a way of doing interoperable money. Check the box. If you look at what Doge is doing, we need a social credit system. Check the box.
Wait, what do you mean by that? What Doge is doing?
Doge is, from what it looks like to me, and I'm basing my assessment of what I know from Doge includes, I read the Financial Times, I need to read the Wall Street Journal, and I need to read Wired. Wired has done a very thorough job of trying to document what's happening in the systems. And I think basically what they've done is they've taken, so if I wanted to stop fraud in the U.S. government, I would say there's 20 trillion missing from DOD, there's $1 trillion missing from HUD. I'm going to go in, figure out where it went, get it back.
Right.
That's not what they did. If you said to me, I want to build a social credit system that can be used to enforce control against the American people and basically lock them down with both enforcement and social credit, I would go get the Social Security data, the IRS data, and the Treasury payment data, and that's exactly what they did. And I would privatize it. I would just take it and put it in private AI with XAI and Palantir AI. And if Palantir still has the contracts with Treasury and the IRS to enforce, you got everybody. And you add the Kennedy's aggregating the healthcare data, you put it with the healthcare data. Now they've been aggregating this kind of data. I used to call it the data beast. So they've been aggregating this kind of powerful data since the 90s. So I don't think this is all new. So for example,
IRS data, healthcare data, and combining it all together into one system combined with AI.
Right. But I think this time the federal government has generally done a pretty good job of siloing the data to protect privacy laws for many applications. But I think this unsilos everything and moves it private and puts it on an out-of-control basis is my guess as to what's probably happened. Now, this is conjecture, remember, but if I wanted to build a control grid, that's exactly what I would do.